Hey, gang. Welcome back to Nopes and Opes. I am rejoined by my lovely co host, Hylan.
Yep.
And Lance is below the table, so he's here in spirit,
Oh,
just not on camera.
I didn't even know
Yeah,
that.
at one point during the episode, he was nibbling on my toe. I was like, ow. All right, just let me know you're here.
Okay.
Uh, but today we talk about, we were going to talk about a lot of lessons that Hylan had kind of prepared, some advice. Um, but then it just kind of turned into one big lesson. But I think it was a really good, important lesson to discuss.
I think there were a lot of lessons like within the lesson, but
Yeah,
yeah, man, I did not like there's 17 of them that I had written down.
we got through one.
Yeah, we got through one. So that's I guess perspective wise, it might be promising because
That's
that's a
a,
lot of material.
yeah, it's really good for us because they was like, oh, we might have 17 episodes here.
Yeah.
So,
So who
but
knows?
we do talk a little bit about surfing. Hyland's got some experience surfing. My younger brother does as well. I talk a little bit about stand up comedy and just kind of how these things have interacted in our life and kind of give us a sense of calmness and a sense of kind of, well, what would you say? I don't want to speak for you.
I'm just gonna say flow state.
Close to.
Like the more you can get into the flow state, the better off you're gonna be. The more like in surfing, I don't know if stoke is still a word. It definitely was when I was coming up, but the more you can feel stoke in your life, the better off you're gonna be, man.
Yeah, right.
So whatever, if that's comedy, if that's surfing, if that's
Yeah.
whatever, it's writing.
All right. Well, we are super stoked for you to watch this episode
Yeah.
and enjoy the show.
So this is the first episode on a Saturday morning after getting here late last night.
Yeah.
And the first episodes are generally a little bit rough. Like we both kind of get done with them and we're like, that was not our best effort. We're probably not going to keep that one.
Yeah.
But I have some high hopes for this one because um, this is something that I've been kind of planning for the last 2 weeks, and this will be something of a surprise for you. Like you just kind of get to react.
Yeah.
But I am going to break all of the rules today. Like
Cool.
everything that I've spent the last year and a half or whatever establishing, like, oh, live your own life. I like to like believe in you and like don't tell you what to do and like don't give advice. All that stuff goes out the window. Today I'm gonna kind of tell you exactly how to live your life. I'm gonna give you the advice that I think is the most beneficial and worthy and
Yeah.
see how that goes. So
Okay.
um, but yeah, I think it should be interesting. And it's just the way that this came about is I've just heard like this isn't from me by any means. I do not want to claim like any sort of like this is my advice. Like this is advice that I've heard like other people say, or like some of it comes from my dad, some of it comes from my grandma, or just things that I've heard like on YouTube or whatever. So but yeah, just because I it's the end of the school year
Yeah.
and like I see a lot of these kids graduating and going out into the world and I'm like, "Oh my gosh. Like I don't know if we've done a great job in preparing you for what comes after high school." And so this is maybe just an attempt to kind of alleviate my heavy heart and the lack of
Your internal guilt.
preparation. Yeah. So yeah, like maybe just like, hey, we didn't do a great job in the 12 years that we had you, but in the next 40 minutes, I hope to turn
Yeah.
that all around.
All right. Well, cool.
So yeah. But no, I think I think it'll be interesting. I don't know exactly how this will go, but uh yeah, let's see what
I mean,
happens.
it'll be what it is. So
Yeah.
while you pull that up, I'm gonna move this camera. Okay.
Okay, do you need to do the audio sync or anything?
Oh no, we're
Okay.
good. Everything's fine.
All right. Yeah, so I did the I have changed the kind of order based on what happened last night. You mentioned two things last night that really kind of was like, "Oh, that's directly what I want to talk about." And so one thing that you mentioned is Emmett, your brother, and how he's become a surfer, and that ties in directly to one of the things that like, I want to say. But a lot of these, like the things that I'm kind of worried about, is a lot of these are uh, kind of philosophical in a way, and like there's like you kind of have to stretch things a little bit,
Yeah.
but this ties in directly. Like when I wrote these words, it was directly in relation to surfing. So any surfers out there are going to know exactly what I'm talking about, but I
Okay.
hope that it will translate to the rest of us. But I also worry because in a lot of ways, this ties into the episode that we did on the inner voice
Mm.
and how I thought that I had everything dialed in, and
Yep.
you kind of blew that up and like was like, nah, like you got to think about it this way, and it's like, so I'll be interested in how this first one goes.
Okay.
But the first piece of advice that I have is I actually have to find it here, but um okay, this is actually one of the last ones. But life provides an energy flow. It also provides confirmation and encouragement when you are riding the wave correctly, as well as notifications when you are fighting the current or going against things. And like in surfing specifically, like when you are in the wave, when you are letting the wave take you where you need to go and kind of just riding what the wave is providing, it is a totally smooth, natural, connected effort. There's nothing. It's like a it's like a it's a it's a feeling. It's a moment that like if you do not surf, you really it's really hard to explain. It's really hard to kind of understand, but it's something that like takes over your whole system. And once you do it one time, you will continually be seeking that kind of experience again and again and again. And I think like for people who surf, it's like, oh yeah, man, I get that. Like that's what causes stoke, right? Like that.
Yeah.
But in life, I think we can also experience that and we can also kind of get to a moment where you're just in flow or whatever word you want to use, right? But like when you are making the correct decisions, when you are following the energy, the guidance that life is providing, things should feel really easy.
Mhm.
Things should feel like there should just be confirmation. Like, yeah, of course, this is the right way to go. This is the right path to choose. This like moving here is where you should go. Dot dot dot. Whatever it is, but I really really feel, and this is where I kind of worry because it's like, is this only for me specifically, or is this something that can be applied universally? So I guess like for me, I'm kind of looking to you to say, hey, yeah, I agree with this, or there's things like, no, I don't think this is because I think that there's a lot of people in this world where live very differently from myself, and I don't know if this is just something that I've tapped into
Mm.
and allows me to live my life the way that I want to live it, or if this is something that is applicable and valuable for everybody.
I think it is. I think one thing is that it's so kind of like hard to tell when it's happening. So, for instance, I have felt like I've kind of entered almost a flow state,
Yeah,
if you in
that's
my life. As we've talked about on the podcast and many a times in dating and whatnot, I was so focused on, you know, like trying to find someone. And, I tried a lot, didn't really have any successes. And now I've finally gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm done trying. Not in the sense that I'm like, oh, love isn't for me. I'm not going to find anyone. I'm just like, no, that's not like my goal. I'm not going to try and do something like that. And in kind of relaxing, I feel like I've kind of just gotten to a more comfortable, easygoing time when I have interactions with women that I might be attracted to. Like I'm not overthinking it. Like I'm just naturally myself, charismatic, whatever. And it just is very easy. But like the shift was so unconscious and wasn't something that I was like, oh, I have to do this to change this. Because anytime I actually thought about it, I like would overthink it. It was almost kind of like letting my brain go of like the thought process, which I feel like might be part of when you're surfing. you kind of are like letting the wave take you. You're kind of like being more at ease, not necessarily thinking about it as much. I don't know. I don't surf.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I think there's so many things that are interesting about this concept, and um, I think in surfing, there's just a sense of connectedness, right? You're connected with the wave. You're connected with the weather. You're connected with just the like the whole kind of. I mean, it sounds totally cheesy, but you're just really connected to like I don't even want to say these words, but you're really connected to like the Mother Earth,
Yep.
right? Like you just feel like everything's flowing, and you like this is life is providing for you exactly what you need, and you're just taking advantage, and you're just allowing life to take you where it wants to take you, and enjoying the heck out of it, right?
Yeah.
It's super easy. Like you're not really doing anything. You're just kind of
Like
like
I think of it, how it has been for me is like life is coming to.
yeah,
I'm not going to it. I think in the past I've been so focused on like I need to work to get something. And instead of doing that, I've been more like, Rowan, just be yourself, keep going through life. When opportunities arise, take them, but like don't try and force anything.
yeah. I mean, I think that's like, and in thinking about this too, like I was specifically like very conscientious of your situation
Yep.
because even in our conversation last night, you just said like life's now just coming to me, right? I'm just kind of kicking back, and like people are coming up to me, and like things are just happening, and it's easy, right? Like I'm not putting effort out there. Like people are just like they're bringing their effort, their energy to me, and I think for me that's a really important concept. Like that's something that I have luckily kind of tapped into, and like when I'm doing it correctly, like energy is just flowing to me,
Yep.
right? The things that I need are just flowing to me. And I've s- I think one of the one of the reasons that I feel so strongly about this concept, and I don't know if I'm doing a great job in explaining this exactly, but I've spent so much of my life like fighting against the current. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of an expert in going against the current, right? Like and so I feel like I have a really, really good sense of what it feels like to not be following the flow. And so now at this point in my life, like when I've gotten to the point where it's like life is just easy and things are working out and energy's coming to me and money's coming to me and relationships are coming to me and just like opportunities like this, I'm just like I
Do
I
you think, can I ask, do you think the reasons why these things have been happening to you is because of something you're doing or not doing?
I th- I think I think I'm just allowing I think I'm just I think that there is an energy in this world, and I'm just allowing the most positive energy. I'm just allowing I'm allowing myself to be receptive
Mhm.
to the most positive energy.
And do you think in the past you've just been kind of stubborn and not willing to receive that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've wanted to shut it down. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. Like one for and oh man, this is going to get deep real quick, but for I I've spent the majority of my life not feeling like I'm worthy
Mhm.
of good things, right? Like successes and
Yep.
money and opportunities and love and relationships and things like that. And so I've actively fought against it. Like when I felt like things are getting too good, I'm like, oh man, what the heck can I do to sabotage the heck out of this? Right? Like what? Like let's blow this up, man. Like I don't like this because like if things got too good, then I was always worried about like how do you sustain this?
Mm.
What happens when it all falls apart and just like the world comes crashing down?
But
Like
do you think there ever was like a deeper fear of like getting hurt?
absolutely. I mean, that has that has been an influential aspect of the majority of my life,
Yeah.
right? Like protecting yourself. Because the thing, like I remember having this fear. I remember having these thoughts. Um, like if things get too good, then when you lose them all and they all walk away,
Yeah.
the pain is freaking excruciating,
Yeah.
and I'm not strong enough to handle that. So if I can just protect myself and just suffer a little bit of pain, like just
Mm,
constantly, I can handle that. Like
yeah.
just a little bit, like being miserable all the time is better than just like come crashing down and like having to deal, like picking up like just the end of the world pieces, right?
So that's the mentality. Has that mentality for you changed now? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah. No, now I guess a lot of this has to do with, I feel like, one, if things go awry and there are some obstacles, or things do get blown up or whatever,
No.
like I have the skills to pick it up. So there's that, and there's the confidence that comes with just experience and age and things like that. And then two, um, I have done the work to get to the point where I do feel worthy. I do feel able to accept the good things. And I think that has been a very, very long process. And it's still a little bit scary. And I still fight it a little bit. But at the same time, um, it's, it's like the last year, 2 years, I think actually since we started this podcast, since I made the decision to take a risk and just put it out there, and the progress that I've seen. And then I think that maybe kind of started it. And then ever since that has happened, just things that like the wave has just gotten bigger and bigger and
Yeah.
bigger. And I feel like I'm just more and more successful in riding it, and like more and more successful, and just it's like easier and easier.
Hmm.
And so I think like that's one of the things is like the more successful for me, and I think success, like it's important to kind of define that word for yourself, because it's going to mean different
Yeah.
things for different people. But
Yeah.
like success for me is just feeling a contentedness in life.
Mhm.
And the more successful I become, the easier things have have been for me. Not to say that there's not, daily disruptions and obstacles and whatever, but in an overall sense, life has just gotten easier and easier, and more rewarding.
Yeah.
Because I think like the bigger the wave, the bigger the risk, but also the bigger the reward.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you're riding a big wave, I've never ridden a big wave, so I don't really know. Like I'm making all this stuff up, but
Yeah.
the like when you do catch a wave that's beyond your, like you're like, oh, what the heck,
Yeah.
and you're actually riding it. It's, I don't know, man. Like if you, yeah, if you get a chance to go surfing, you should, because
Oh
it's
man,
it's
If
unreal.
Emmett was here, he would not stop talking right now.
Yeah, I would just be quiet and let
Well, what's
him.
funny is so you actually might. I think you should watch this. Have you ever heard of the 100 Foot Wave documentary?
Uh,
So I don't know where this is, but my brother watches it and it's fantastic. They just released their second season. I believe it's on HBO Max. But it is a documentary of these surfers that will do literal 100 foot waves.
I think it's Portugal.
Yeah, it's somewhere
Yeah,
around there. And to get onto the wave, they have to actually be like carried out on
yeah,
like a sea-doo. Like
yeah.
you can't actually like paddle into it.
No,
And very daunting, right? But the like experience of the people that actually get onto the wave and like how they actually like talk and think about life, very similar to what I imagine some of the thoughts that have come through your brain
well, I
recently.
did watch recently just a little like 10-minute documentary of this lady and how surfing has kind of rewired her brain,
Mm,
and just like like she's my age, and it was just like I was just listening to her talk, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah, I get it. Like that's and
Well, Emmett said something very interesting. So Emmett had a girlfriend kind of at the start of the podcast, I think. Then they broke up. It was very hard for him. And we had a lot of conversations about it and all of that. But he had been going to therapy with a school counselor. So not necessarily a like, paid therapist or anything like that. It's provided by the school. So whether or not that's as good as a therapist or not, up to you. I'm not saying anything about this. But he went to, I don't know, 15, 20 sessions.
oh,
And he was telling me, he's like, Rowan, I went surfing once and it was better than every single session I ever had. And he just talked about how to him, it's like a religious experience now. And like the clarity he gets from it, so
yeah,
much so that he's like, we were talking the other day. He's like, Rowan, I really want to pursue this surfing thing. Like he wants to live on the coast
yeah.
and be able to surf every single day. He's like, I think I'd like need it. And now when he's at, he lives in Raleigh, North Carolina, he just is kind of like every weekend he's like, please. And if he doesn't get to go, he's just so sad that he doesn't get to go.
Well, even a day, even when it's flat, right? Even if you're just because waves come in sets, right? So you can be out there waiting for a set to come in for minutes. You can be out there for hours. You can be out there all day long, and the set will never come in. Or like, I mean, there's so many different aspects. And oh man, is this episode just going to be about surfing
Surfing.
or what? But like even there's so much to know, and I guess this ties into life as well because the more knowledge you have, like I'm such a proponent of knowledge. Like I try to get these kids to realize like, hey, knowledge is your friend. The more knowledge you have, the easier your life becomes.
Yeah.
But even like people don't even think about this, but just even picking your line to paddle out is it's not just like hop on your board and like you can tell like noob surfers and the guys that are good that know what they're doing because you have to read the ocean. The ocean is constantly telling you things, but even like where you paddle out, like the oh man, I could get into all the science of surfing, but like the breaks happen where the ground rises up and the water gets forced up and then it pushes the wave up, right?
Gotcha.
So it's not like the bottom of the ocean is not even by any means, and so there's certain breaks in certain places, and you can paddle around and like get to it and make life so much easier. And that's just another aspect of flow, right? Like like being able to just paddle out and like be in the spot to catch the wave. But even like, yeah, I met like this would be such a fun conversation. But even just being in the right spot, like you and I can be sitting right next to each other,
Yeah.
and a wave can come, and I can catch it, and you're just sitting there like, what the heck, man? So or you can catch it or whatever, and it's just there's so much to it, but it's like it's that's why it's such a religious experience, I think, for a lot of people because there's so much that goes into the actual creating the moment. Like there's so much hard work. And I think that's apropos for life too, right? I
Yeah.
mean, life takes freaking work, man. But there's so much that goes into it. And then when you actually experience that moment, it is just like the world stops and you are, you are literally just filled with stoke. Like you are just life is exactly the way that it's supposed to be in that moment. Like when you're standing and you're riding, it, like you're not even like I think I don't know. Surfers might think this, but like you're like I'm not. I don't even ride the wave. I just like the wave just takes me where it needs to go, and it's just I don't know. I feel like I'm just sounding like a freak, but I
Get
don't
you
know. I
the
just
surfer mind of Hylan.
oh I yeah
Self
I'm ready to go.
All
Yeah,
right. So I don't have surfing, right? I don't have surfing for me,
not yet.
but not yet. But I think
I think in your future with Emmett, it's in
oh,
the
so
cards.
I'm gonna go visit Emmett in July, So
I,
there are going to be some episodes in the future that I'm probably going to do with Emmett, and we'll see how those go, and maybe we'll throw them on the podcast or whatnot, or
yeah.
not. Well, he also wants to do his own podcast, not about this kind of stuff, but about design and all those things. I might help him with that. Anyways, so I think I found my surfing, right? What it is for me.
Okay.
But so stand up comedy has been like
Yeah.
super life of for me
Hmm.
recently, and has given me a sense of confidence that I have not found in a very long time. So in my when I was living in Chicago and I had first attempted stand up, it was very kind of like I'm not getting any feedback from anyone that makes me feel good,
Mm.
and I didn't even feel good about myself.
Yeah.
So it was an attempt like, please, somebody find me funny. Somebody give me dopamine. And I just think it was kind of for the wrong reasons, and I wasn't good at it, and it just was like bad. So now I've gotten to like a very clear head, worked on my confidence, and now I'm like, okay, Rowan, you've talked about wanting to do this for so long, just go up and do it. And
Mm.
I've been consistent every single week I've gone. I
Mm.
haven't skipped a day, and there have been days where I was like, I don't want to go. I'm gonna bomb. It's gonna go horrible. And those are the days I do the best.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And it completely flips things around. But there's a
Well,
few
can I just
things.
ask one question real
Yeah.
quick? And in those moments, like when you walk up on stage and you kind of don't, well, I don't want to put your words in your mouth, but I'm thinking like you don't care, and you just kind of let life flow. Like, is that? Do you think that's a true statement? Because I think that's what it's about. Like, I think like when you're tired and you just kind of go up and you're like, screw this. Like, let's just get it over with and be done with it.
Yeah.
And you just have that mentality where you're just like, whatever happens, happens. That I think is the essence kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You just whatever happens, happens. You have the confidence to deal with it, and you just kind of ride the wave that's provided.
Yeah. I think there's a distinction I'd like to make, which I think you're trying to hint at. There's two ways you can approach like not caring about it.
Mm.
One is like from a negative standpoint,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then there's the positive. So there have been times where I see stand-up comedians go up and they have a negative, like, let's just get this over with.
Mm.
Right. And they get up there and they just try some stuff and it's not going well. And they're like, all right, I don't think that this is productive. Right.
Okay.
And I think that is a very bad way to treat it. There are times where I go up there and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to go well or not. There's no way you really can, but I'm going to go up there, make the most of it. But if
Yeah.
I don't do well, I'm not going to be upset with myself.
Yeah.
So, for instance, like I went up Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Wednesday, I did great, had a great set. Thursday, I do the same jokes from Wednesday, put in like a few new ones just to see if those are anything. Bomb.
Mm.
Didn't get like any laughs.
Yeah.
And I literally was up there and I started laughing to myself because I was like, well, you're bombing, Rowan. Like, and it was more of a joy in the failure, but it doesn't feel like a failure, right? Because of my positive mentality, right?
Oh wow.
And so what comedy has done for me has given me this confidence to talk to people
Mm.
and truly not care about the things that I say and how they might. Because, like, in the past, I used to be such a people pleaser that I was like, I hope when I have this interaction with this person, they'll like the things that I say and they'll really like kind of jive with it.
Mm.
And I've realized through doing stand up, I'm like, Ron, you're going to get up on stage, you're going to talk to people. They're either going to like it or not. It doesn't really matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can say something that's going to make someone laugh. You can say something that's not going to make someone laugh. And it also has like given me kind of the courage to like teeter that line to kind of
Yeah.
like push the boundary. And so now when I'm like interacting with either be like, customers at the bar, like a pretty woman or anything like that, like I just go like, Rowan, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
Like it's fine. And like whatever happens, happens. And like if they think you're a weirdo that needs to get away from them, then they think that. If they think you're hilarious, charismatic guy, then they think that. But like you can't force anyone to do that. Just how like when I go up and do stand up, I can't force the audience to like me. Like I have to go up there. I have to kind of do the work beforehand about like, writing something funny or like having a funny concept. But then it's also just kind of like going up there and figuring. I honestly feel like every time I go up on stage, I'm figuring myself out.
Well, I think that that's like you just kind of clarified things for me a little bit, but think for me, the reason that things are working out now is I have the confidence in myself, no matter what comes, I can handle it,
Yeah.
right? If I'm in the ocean and a huge freaking wave comes and I know like holy cows, I'm in trouble here. Like I just duck dive and I have the ability to get underneath it and wait for something that I can handle,
Yeah.
right? If I'm up on stage or if you're up on stage and you can't, like you're just bombing, it's like no sweat, man. Like well,
Well,
you survive and you go to the
yeah.
next day.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead, sorry.
no, I just was gonna say like about bombing is like so people talk about like how horrible it is. And granted, like I haven't bombed when like I was an opener for someone or like I'm a headliner. That might be a little bit different. That's like you're being paid by the venue and you go and then you bomb. That's probably like one of the worst. Because I've heard stories of comedians talking about that, and that's bad. At open mics though, I like bombing now. I
Mm,
like not having success because you learn so much more from your failures than your successes. Because the first time I went up, I went great, and I was like, "Oh, awesome." But then I was like, "Well, I don't know anything. I didn't learn anything from it." But
mm,
when you're bombing, you can like tell like how you say the joke, like if maybe the cadence would be better if you did it this way. And
mm,
then in the same moment, like when I was bombing, I literally was like, "All right, Rowan, all the jokes that you wrote or thought of aren't doing well. So like pull something out. Just think of something."
yeah.
And I, just up with a bit that I just started like, I kind of pulled out of nowhere. Like I had maybe a trace of an idea and I just started talking about it. And that bit that I pulled out at the end of my bombing was actually like got a few laughs. I was
Mm,
like, okay, so there might be something there. So it's all about like for me getting up on stand up is like it's just figuring it out. And it's so cool because you might have an idea of a concept that you think is really funny. You get up on stage and like you literally are just talking through the concept and trying to hear the audience of like what pops, what's funny about it, what's not. And so it's really just like, you know, now I'm starting to kind of understand the craft a little bit more. I'm by no means am any expert or know anything, but I'm getting my own kind of like, you know, feel for it, which is really cool. And throughout the other parts of my life, it just gives me all this confidence, right? Like
yeah.
I'll give you a prime example about the podcast. So we had a guest on. We're gonna have an episode where we talk about that, but you should check it out on YouTube, Spotify. So we had our first guest on, and so I went to the bar after I had filmed it and whatnot. And so Jade, who our guest is, was at the bar. Her family came into the bar, so it's me and Jade, her mom, and her two sisters, and they sat at the bar. And so they were like talking to me because Jade introduced me, like, "Hey, this is Rowan, this is one I did the podcast with." And they're like, "Oh, what's your podcast called?"
Mm,
And I said, "Nopes and Opes." And the look that these three ladies gave me was like, what the hell?
yeah.
And in the past, I would feel embarrassed and be like, oh my gosh, look at them judging me and whatnot. And instead, I looked at their faces, I laughed, and I went, clear, I can tell I've sold you on it. And then I just started to talk to them more and more and kind of started giving them shit. I was like, the faces you're giving me means that you're not going to watch it. And it was just like, instead of kind of cowering
Yeah.
and feeling insecure and whatnot, I was more like prideful and I was like, no, like I'm gonna poke at you. Like you
Yeah.
poke at my thing. I'm gonna poke back at what you think. And it just like was very affirming to me because after that interaction, I was like, Rowan, I know you from the past. You would have been
Yeah.
embarrassed. You would have felt bad. You would have been like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this podcast? Like I'm so, no one's gonna watch it. What it's a stupid name. We need to change the name, like whatever. And
Oh no,
instead I
that's
was
never gonna happen.
and instead I was like, no, 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 no. There's a reason for it, and I explained it, and it was good. It made me feel good.
Well, I find it so strange, but um, I think this ties in. I'm not exactly sure, but I my like I've gotten to the point now where uh I am not a good surfer by any means. Like I do not want to pretend like put it out there like, oh, this kid can rip or this guy can rip on the
Kid.
surfboard. I cannot.
When's the last time someone called
Um,
you kid?
I call myself kid. Just it's hopeful. It's wishful thinking. But I like some of the best. Some I have the best days, and I'll never get up on the surfboard.
Really?
Yeah, I just get pounded left and right. Just like I'm off, like timing wise, or like I can't stand up, or the wave's too big or too small, or whatever. And I'm just failing left and right. Like
Yeah.
just never ever catch a wave. And I have the best day ever because it's just like, but it's just failure after failure after failure. And I find that very strange. Like listening to you, I'm like, yeah, like if you talk to a real surfer,
Mhm.
they'll just be like, dude, why are you even in the ocean? Like, just go home. Like,
Yeah.
you're terrible. And in my mind, like when I was a kid, I would have been so embarrassed. Like I would have never
Yeah.
joined the lineup. I would have never. I'm like, nah, I'm not good enough. Like, what if I fail this,
Yeah.
that? And now I'm just like, no, man. Like this is an opportunity, and I fully take advantage of it, and I love it, and I have the best time ever. Even though I'm just constantly failing.
I did see somewhere, um, so this is taken out of my mind from like a little while ago, but I heard somewhere where someone was saying something along the lines. I don't know if it was on a news podcast, whatever. It was somewhere that we are raising a generation that's afraid to fail,
Yeah,
and I had felt that way.
I
So
felt like most of my life.
yeah, and so when I was in Chicago and whatnot, I tried doing comedy. I like felt like a failure. It's like, oh my gosh, the one thing I wanted to be good at, I can't do.
Mm.
And so I basically was, went back to the drawing board and, a lot of life happened. Excuse me. But what's funny now is like in doing the pursuit of stand up, the thing I want to do, it has given me like that fear of failure is gone. That fear of rejection. So it's
Mhm.
like the same thing. Like if someone was like, Rowan, you should go talk up to that pretty lady and, try and get her number or whatever. I'd be like, okay. And I'll go right
Yeah,
up there. And if I bomb, if I fail, I fail.
yeah.
That's fine. And, like, I think what's also funny about what you were saying and how on a day where you are constantly getting crushed by the waves, not having any success, you're having the most fun.
I'm having huge success.
Well, yes, but in life, when we're constantly getting beat up and having those failures, we are, like, miserable. And I hope that in pursuing something that can make you feel good about, like, your failures and, like, not actually treating it like a failure, I hope will also translate into your actual daily life. And that's how I felt about comedy.
No, I feel like I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I'm not exactly sure if I'm there yet, but I feel like if you are in the flow state, or like if you are kind of receptive to what life and you're living life correctly,
Yeah.
whatever that might mean, there aren't really failures.
Yeah.
There's just opportunities, right? Like when I get crushed by a wave and it's like, I've walked out of the ocean and had like the board like split my head open and like been almost drowned in the like I was swimming down and like I was like almost out of breath and like hit the sandbar and I'm just like, oh. And like you're just like, what the heck? Like I mean, significant, like you could look at them as failures. It's just it's like, oh, you have one more opportunity.
Yeah.
Another way is going to come. You have one more chance to, and I think that's maybe the value in this. I think we've, I think we've covered a lot. Like I don't know. I think there's a lot of value in this actually, but
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like one, the failures aren't necessarily failures. They're just like an opportunity to learn
Yeah.
or an opportunity to get better or an opportunity to, whatever it is, however you want to phrase it. And that's, I guess, another thing too, is just perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a whole nother, oh man, there's a lot here. I didn't realize that there was
Yeah.
so much here. But yeah, like even when I'm just getting just pounded and I never ever get up on the board or whatever, it's still an amazing day because it's like, how cool is this? Like
Yeah.
I get to spend the day like just surrounded by nature, like doing something that I love to do. And every like every moment that I'm out in the ocean, I'm being taught something. Like the ocean speaking to me, like the way that it moves, the way that it just the motion, even just like sitting on the board and just like the rise up and down. I don't know, man. There's just ah,
It's got a special place in your heart.
yeah, obviously.
Well, gang, I think that's it for this episode.
Okay.
So I quite enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. If you did, feel free to share it with your friends. You can see us on YouTube, Spotify. We're available anywhere there are podcasts. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you in the next one.